Good morning, everybody, and those listening during the day. I hope you're having a great day. Welcome to our morning discussion and conversation. Before I begin, I would like to wish a hearty mazel tov to a young, feisty woman in our community. Her name is Helen Seidel, who is turning a very young 91 years old today. Those who know Ellen know she's maybe 91 years old on her passport, but runs around and acts like a teenager in a positive way. So, Ellen, want to wish you a mazel tov for many, many more years of health and nachas and joy and bringing good spirit to all the people that know you. I'm not sure if you're watching. Some of your children come on once in a while, more than once in a while. So if they hear this, I'm sure they will convey that great mazel tov. 91 is a good milestone. I'm sure, Ellen, in these 91 years, you never experienced anything like we're all going through now, and looking forward to what this experience will bring. So happy birthday, Ellen. Today's story that I'd like to share with us, with all, is maybe not would go into the great, dramatic, inspiring stories that I've shared with you till now, but is truly a very motivational one. It's a story about a person who made a bold move, took action on something that was very important, and made a dramatic change. This person, this individual, name was Mel Alexenberg. Mel Alexenberg was a professor, a teacher at Columbia University in 1977. Now, you would say that Mel probably had it all. He had the best students, he loved his job, he had a wonderful family, a great family, lived with his family right near a beautiful bird sanctuary. Beautiful. Everything set, life was good, happy children, living an ideal life of happiness. Until one day, when his whole comfort zone was turned upside down. One of his daughters told him that she's moving to Israel and she wants to make Aliyah. And at first, it sounded cute, it sounded exciting, but something got into the whole family that they decided, you know what, we're all going to Israel and we're all going to make Aliyah. And in one day, everything turned around. A comfortable job, a comfortable home, living the life in America, living his dream, teaching the best students, and now all of a sudden they're going to enter a world of the unknown. As they're making plans to go to Israel, Mel put out the word that he's looking for a job. And he was searching the market for college professorships where he can teach. And it wasn't too long until he started to receive job offers from, first was Tel Aviv University, then Bar Ilan University. And he's looking at the job offers, and Mel is thinking, you know, I don't want to go a step down. I was here in New York teaching in Columbia. It was great. If I go to Israel, I want to do something completely different. I want to change things. And I want to really just take a whole entire different path. And because he was involved in education, he had a good friend who was the Director General of the Ministry of Education in Israel. His name was Ilan Peled. And since he was talking to him about different job offers, he spoke to Ilan. He said, Ilan, tell me, I want a place in Israel that is the opposite of New York City. I don't want to go to Tel Aviv. I don't want to go to Ramat Gan. I don't want to go to any of these developed and established cities. I want the opposite. If I'm going, I'm going to make a difference. Ilan thinks and says, you know what? If you really want the opposite of New York City, I got a town for you. The name of the town is Yerucham. It's a town in the middle of the Negev in the south of Israel. It's really set with terrible social and economic problems. It's kind of the dumping ground for immigrants. At that time, there were many immigrants from North Africa, primarily from Morocco. And wherever they couldn't settle them, they just dumped them there. So it wasn't really an attractive place. It was kind of the dumping grounds where everything went wrong. And Ilan said, if you're looking for the opposite of New York, there it is. And you know what Mel said? I'm on the way. I'm going to Yerucham. He's going to make Aliyah to Israel and go to this town of Yerucham and see what he can do. It was a little crazy, it was very out of the box. And he decided that before he goes to Israel, he wants to get some inspiration and guidance from the Rebbe. Because after all, the Rebbe is a spiritual leader, in his mind, a smart man. He wasn't particularly a Lubavitch, a Chassid, but a Jewish individual. And making such a move, he wanted to get guidance from the Jewish leaders. And in New York, he was able to meet the Rebbe. He goes to the Rebbe for advice on what he should do in Israel. And listen to what the Rebbe tells him. The Rebbe tells him, with your background, you could contribute a great deal to the development of Yerucham. What you should do is establish an institution of higher learning there and help it become a college town. If you can stop that, if you can do that, people will stop trying to run away from Yerucham. They'll actually want to come there from everywhere to study. The influx of students will change everyone's attitude toward the town. Clear mission. You're going to Yerucham, turn it into a college town, make it an attraction. Well, that is a pretty big charge, but here the Rebbe noticed and recognized what Mel's talents were, what he stood out for, and how he can use this talent to make a dramatic difference. So now Yerucham not only was going to the opposite of New York, which itself was brave, but now he has a mission to transform that town into an attraction for students. Now we all know students, what they look for, they're not looking for a desperate town. And they're looking for something that's going to be fun and exciting. Who's going to come to a college in a desolate place in the middle of the Negev that barely has electricity to study college? But he's a brave man. He makes Aliyah to Israel. They land in Israel Thursday evening. They move into their apartment in Yerucham, middle of the Negev, and there wasn't even electricity in the apartment. They had to draw their electric from the next apartment. Very different from living next to in a big New York home next to a bird sanctuary, remember. And he's taking a walk on Shabbat. They arrived Thursday, so Shabbat 2 days later. And as he gets to the southern part of town, he sees there's this beautiful new building, but totally empty. There's nothing going on. You can see that it's not being used. So right after Shabbos, he calls the mayor of Yerucham. It's a small town. He'd call him after Shabbat. And he says, tell me about this little town. Tell me what's going on in that town, in this building. And the mayor tells him, this building is the result of the folly of Israeli bureaucracy. They built this beautiful building to service children with special needs, because that's what they wanted to put the funding. There was a little problem, though, that in Yerucham, there were only 5 children with special needs, and they were being bused to a nearby town where there was a bigger institution or a bigger school building that they can use. So this was a beautiful, gorgeous building made to house hundreds of people, and it's useless. It's empty. Mel says, Mayor, I got an idea. Before I came here, the Lubavitcher Rebbe told me to open a university in Yerucham. Perfect. I can use the building. Give me the building. Mayor shocked. Really? He right away calls the town engineer. He said, hey, I have somebody who wants to take the building and use it. The town engineer skips over in moments. He says, here, take the keys, take it off our backs. He was so happy that somebody can take the responsibility for this building. So here we are, 2-3 days after Mel has moved into his new town of Yerucham with this bold idea of turning it into a college town, and boom, he has a building. All right, so he has a building for the university, but now he needs money to build a university. And it so happens that when he was speaking to the mayor said, Mr. Mel, I guess he called him, whatever he called him, Baichik, Habibi, he says, we have here a group from Montreal. Now, Montreal was a sister community for Yerucham. As we know, many big cities in North America sister up and pair up with different desperate towns in Israel. And Yerucham was a sister community for a community in Montreal. They're coming to visit. but I don't speak English well, he tells him. Maybe you can lead them in a tour of the town. Mel says, fine. He takes this group on this tour, and in the meantime, he's telling them about his dream of he came here, his story, how he came here, he wanted to make a difference, and he wants to make a university, and he has a building. Now he's looking for funding, and at the end of his story, the people were so moved by the brave act of this Mel. They said, you know what? Don't worry about the budget. We will make sure that we cover support because we want to help you build this town and do what you have to do. All right. 4 days into the mission, he just got to Israel on this crazy trip. He has a building, he has a budget. But to build a university, you can have a nice building and you can have a budget, but if you don't have students, you're not going to have a university. So he thinks about this for a moment, and then he says, you know what? He had a friend in Bar Ilan University. Actually, Tuvia Bar Ilan, who was Tuvia Bar Ilan of Bar Ilan University. He says, let me go. Let me see what I can do with him. And he calls Tuvia and tells him about this plan. And Tuvia said, what he's missing is he needs accreditation. He has a building, he has money, but he needs accreditation, he needs teachers, he needs students. What's he going to do? And Tuvia listens to the story, says, perfect. Bar Ilan University has a plan to not only have its central campus, but to have campuses in the north, south, north, west, east, and south of Israel. And we have 3 of those covered. We have a campus in the north of Israel in Safat. We have a campus on the eastern part of Israel in the Kinneret. We have a campus in the western part of Israel in Ashkelon. So we have a campus presence in the north, west, and east, but we have nowhere in the south. This Yerucham will now become the southern campus of Bar Ilan University. And I'll take care of the accreditation. It'll be an extension of our university, and we'll work together. 6 days after this man came to Israel, on this brave journey, he has a building, he has a budget, and he has the accreditation and ready to roll. And within months, I think, a few months later, 400 students came and were registered in this university as an extension of Bar Ilan University. Amazing. Now, when I started the story, you thought this man was crazy, as I did. And I'm not making this up. You can go and Google his name. What's his last name? Mel Alexenberg. And he'll tell you the story. A guy had a dream, had a vision. How he's going to accomplish this. But he went on. He went on his journey. And because he was determined to do something great, great things happened. Great opportunities opened up. And this is something we must always take into our account. As we spoke about in our pre-Shabbat sermon, that God gives us the opportunity. We have to always strive. On the one hand, we have to, I just want to get this up. On the one hand, we have to be happy with what we have, but not satisfied and not grow further. Happy with what you have means happy with the mission that God has given you. But what you do with that mission, there's no limit. If you're driven, you can accomplish great things. As the Rebbe pointed out for him, his lot in life was education. His lot in life was to bring education to students. He wanted to do something different, and he did something different. And he did something transformational. Don't settle just to be complacent with what you have accomplished. Find your unique aspect of life and drive with it. Make a huge difference, not a small difference, not a big difference, but a huge difference, because you could do it. You just have to make the resolution that you want to do this, and you want to be as big and not as big, but the best and as inspirational as you can be with the gifts that God has given you. So continuing our conversation from the Shabbat pre-sermon, and you can always find the recordings of the events of our classes and this sermon as well, that we have to always be growing in what we do. Because if we don't grow in what we do, unfortunately we fall back. And we should utilize this time that we are spending kind of with ourselves, although we may be reaching out to people, identifying your uniqueness, your blessing, your mission, and then making a resolution to be bold in that which you need to do. And being bold does not mean me necessarily going to Israel into some desolate town and transforming it. Sometimes being bold means picking up the phone and calling someone that you may not be in the mood of calling. You may not be interested in calling, but you can bring goodness to that person. Do it. Do it because you have the opportunity to do that. And in that blessing and in that opportunity, you will find inspiration, not just to that person, but to yourself as well. And if you're down and lacking motivation, think of Mel, a man who gave up everything of comfort in New York, and look what he's accomplished in Yerucham, in the town of Israel. It's a great story. I think of the story many times. I've shared the story with you. Now let's together be inspired and motivated by the story to do great things. Great things not necessarily in quantity, but great things in quality. Things that require strength and courage for us to do. But when we do that, we break through such great barriers. I'd like to invite you tomorrow morning at 8:30. Again, we're going to meet and continue the discussion of Judaism's great ideas. I've gotten great feedback from yesterday's class, which is also on our website at the recordings, talking about the idea of consistency in our life. We will continue on this verse tomorrow, and tomorrow night we have another special class out of our regular routine at 8 o'clock. It's about happiness. I'm doing this for the Jewish Learning Institute for JLI, but you can find the link right here, jewishcenter.info/be happy. And tomorrow at 8 o'clock, we will be talking again. You can share these links with your friends. You can share these links with family members. Come along, join the journey. It is and will continue to be an extraordinary journey with all of us together. For now, I'd like to wish you all a wonderful day, a successful day, a meaningful day, and be bold. Make that change. Don't be scared, because when you start doing these changes that you were meant to do, you will feel so accomplished, and that feeling of accomplishment will lift you up out of even the darkest and most challenging of times. Let me know how it went. Have a great day. And Ellen, happy birthday.